Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to finish off the end of this week with Creator Request, which is where a band gets in contact with me and asks me to check out their music, which I always do because, man, we have found some fantastic stuff and I've had some amazing music delivered to my ears. So I got an email from Samyra. It says, "Hey, Critical Reactions, I stumbled on your channel and love your videos, especially the Whitechapel Doomwoods one. I really like your style and saw that you're reviewing bands' work. I would be honored if you would also have a listen to my band Samyra. We write metalcore and just released our latest single, Nightmare. Best wishes, Sebastian." So we're going to check out today. We got Samyra. The song is Nightmare. Let's see what's going on.
My head explodes. We've seen this road. I'm lost and cold.
Yeah, we got this kind of 4 or 6 vibe right here, triplets. Alright, yeah, definitely the 6 if we're following along with the cymbals. The bass are definitely emphasizing a 4 though, the bass kick. Guitar is really flowing over top everything here. I love how even we get into this more textural element here, we still have really strong melody in the guitar lick. Yeah, the bass really laying down a lot of that foundational oomph. Alright, playing around with some silence.
Just get away.
Ooh. Interesting little modulation there to transition us back into this original tempo.
To smile every time we did. We can't forget to cry every time we did. We can't forget to smile every time we did.
Yeah, some counterpoint here. Yeah! Variation on the final chorus. Yeah. So right off the bat, I want to talk about the the song structure. That's going to be the big thing that really stood out to me because I think they did a fantastic job of subverting expectations in this manner, in that we had our intro, which led into our verse. We had the verse chorus breakdown, which is typically it's the bridge section that we have in a lot of these metalcore bands, and then we had another chorus, and I was like, okay, that's the song, that's the track. We just heard it all, pretty standard stuff. And no, it's very interesting that they subverted it that way, because after that chorus, then we had a more traditional poppy bridge, more of a rock bridge rather than a metal bridge, where we take everything down a bit, introduce a new vocal line, and then after that we had a guitar solo, and then we had a chorus with a variation on it. So what I thought was going to be a fairly standard A B A B C B structure turned into A B A B C B D E B prime, which is just phenomenal. I love, especially like I said, the first 60% of the song would have fit perfect if they just stopped it there. It would have been an extremely competent, well produced metalcore track that followed many of the tropes. And I wouldn't have had anything negative to say about that, but because they utilized that as a way to kind of trick me and say, look, we're just following the cookie cutter pattern, and then did their own thing and added three new elements to the end of that. Just that is a beautiful way to introduce yourselves to me. Now, it does have risks. It could very well be that by the time you get to the breakdown, people figure out what the song's about and they duck out. They think they've heard it all. You're going to finish off with the chorus, and if they're not 100% enthused about what's going on, they're not going to be here for the subversion. But at least to me, art is worth sticking around for, because, one, you should probably just follow through with things. It's a 4-minute song. But two, I have seen a lot of great art, whether it's film or books or music, where the subversion happens late into it, right? They get you caught off guard because you think you know what's going on. And I mean, those are some of my favorite things to see, to listen to read. So I'm absolutely blown away by this. I love it. I think this is a great way to introduce yourselves. And I'm not sure if you guys have released new music videos since then or not. I'm going to be digging into it, but I think this is still the one that you want to lead with, not having heard the others yet. So that opinion might change, but this one's just so well done. At least in that concept of, like I said, lulling people into a false comfort, like they know what's going on, and then subverting it with some really nice change there at the end. Um, Another thing I really enjoyed was the guitar work in the verse. So much like a lot of modern metalcore, we have this bouncing back and forth between heavy vocals and more rhythmic textural playing, and clean vocals and more melodic chord-based playing. But what I really enjoy is that when we get to the heavier stuff, the verse, when the growling or harsh vocals come in, and a lot of the band turns to more rhythmic elements, we still have a guitar soaring above everything else. Not production wise. It's actually placed a little below and to the left. It really isn't soaring above, but range wise, it is the highest part of the song, and it is continuing to employ some of those melodic elements into this more rhythmic and textural part of the song. And I absolutely love the way that it contrasts what's going on, because I think they also use a different tone for the guitar than the one that they use in the chorus. So it is a bit more heavier, has a bit more of a bite to it, but it's still like texturally it fits into this heavier element, but it still keeps the melody going. It provides something other than that rhythmic energy to help drive the section. And I've mentioned before, this isn't something that a lot of people, or not everybody, is going to agree with. Some people are going to want just that pure textural riffage, that really, rhythmic element to these heavier sections, and that's fine. I love melody. I love having melody in every part of a song. So having that melody in there is something that's just going to talk to me. It's going to speak to me in ways that I enjoy. Um, and then see the chorus. I thought the chorus was well done. It was kind of chorusy. We have chords going on underneath. We have some produced vocals above that. We have this nice back and forth with these more echoey vocals, a little bit of call and response or repetition there. But I don't have any negative or positive things to add to the chorus. It exists. It does a fantastic job of being a hook. It's catchy. Um, but there isn't anything in there specifically to me that stands out. Not a bad thing. The bridge, it's a breakdown. There wasn't anything, again, that really stood out to me. It did its job at going to the halftime feel and bringing in weight and heaviness. And I love how that heaviness did come through in the spacing between the notes as well. Right? So when we do breakdowns, there's a lot of ways to induce this heaviness, this weightiness to it. The whole point of it is to feel, weightier. I keep using the same words. I wish I had a wider vocabulary for this specific sensation, but we can lower the notes, which we typically do, right? A lot of these are the lowest notes that they can hit. It's the fattest string on their instrument. The growlers are going to hit the lowest note that they can hit. It's really going to bring about that lowness in the pitch. And then there's also, we typically do this in tempo as well. We make it feel slower. Moving fast is more of a light feeling, right? When we're running, we're light, but we can't run with a 50-pound backpack on or a 100-pound backpack. The more weight we put on, the slower we go. So we cut tempo in half, and that helps do it as well. We get these halftime breakdowns. But I like this other thing that they did, which can kind of be seen as speed bass. It's the amount of space between notes, right? We get these hard hits and then an eighth rest, sometimes a quarter rest, almost a full, or sometimes a full beat of resting in between these notes. And then to top it off, after the riff, we have 4 beats of empty space for the drum to fill in with 3 or 4 hits. It really provides this weightiness where even the notes can't be played too quickly. There has to be a lot of space between the notes themselves, almost in a way that makes it feel like there's effort, a lot of effort being exerted just to strum a string or just to hit the drum. So we're getting that extra weight in there as well. And I really like that. Sometimes breakdowns, they do the first two, but when it comes to the notes, yes, there's less notes than there were previously, but it's still sort of filling the space. And here they really let this element breathe. They really put a lot of air and emptiness between each of the strikes for each of the notes. And then there was that little metric modulation thing that was going on as we went from this halftime breakdown back to the original full tempo. And I'd have to listen to it again. It sounded like a combination of a tuplet and a really fast accelerando combined that made it feel out of time with everything around it, both the halftime before it and the tempo we were moving into. It was just a very interesting aspect. And like I said, I'd have to go back and listen again to see what exactly happened. It's a really quick moment in time, but it caught my attention. And then that brings us into the next chorus again. Then we move into what I thought was really interesting, was more of a traditional pop or rock bridge where we cut everything out and simplify it down and introduce a new vocal line. And I actually thought this might have been the outro. So again, I had a double subversion of expectations when I thought this was the outro, and then we went to the guitar solo and I realized it was a bridge and that we're adding more elements past what I thought was the traditional song structure. But yeah, giving the clean vocalist a moment to shine for a little bit, and then we move into the guitar solo, which I thought was very well done. There's a nice flow to it, nice guitar tone, and we go into the final chorus, and we have the an inversion, not an inversion, an alternate version of it. We have some embellishments put in. We have some call and response. We've introduced some growls to go against the cleans, and it's just very well done. I think there's new harmonies in here as well. Um, I don't remember. I remember there were a couple of new things going on, and I absolutely love that. I've talked about in the past that if you're going to write a final chorus, especially after we've heard it two, three, maybe even four times in some more egregious uses of chorus repetition, I'm sure the idea is to get people hooked on it. It's called the hook for a reason and make them want to come back to it and the familiarity of it. But for me personally, if I've heard it four times, unless it is phenomenal, unless this is just some of the catchiest stuff, unless this is Poker Face, I don't want to hear it again. Um, it's so the embellishment, the ornamentation, the alternate playing of it gives me at least something additional to latch onto. Oh, we're listening to it again, but now there's new things for me to check out. Oh, let me see how they work. Not to mention that more layers typically sounds bigger, and you can end a song with a little bit more oomph without really having to change the production of it, or without having to make it louder, or write a new part. If you want to, end the song with a bang, just take what you already have and put a couple more ideas on it. Put some harmonies. Do it these pop songs. They kind of get trashed on, especially in the rock and metal communities, for being cookie cutter, or made for the masses, or whatever you want to call it. But you can't deny the fact, especially in the 90s and 2000s, when we saw pop songs doing this all the time, where we would have the final chorus be the chorus we'd already heard, and then the vocalist vocalizing on top of it, maybe taking one note and kind of playing around with it, and playing, singing half an octave or an octave higher, and just providing this extra layer and making it feel like this big final moment. Pop is really good at making things awesome, right? There's definitely things that we should learn from pop, and I think this is one of those, is the big ending. If you want a big ending, just take your chorus and add some more stuff to it. And I think these guys did a phenomenal job with that. Not only just that it was something new to listen to, but there was also obvious gaps in the chorus that the harsh vocalist filled in rather nicely and just kind of flowed. It's almost like it was designed for that second part, and it felt empty without it. Um, so then we got these interesting textural layers too, between the clean vocals and those echoey clean vocals, and the compression and distortion on the harsh vocals. It's just a really nice way to end the song. Um, and I think it's really interesting is the 4 against 6 idea here. So when the song started, we had just a guitar line, I think, and I couldn't tell if it was in 4 or 6. I could feel both. The band comes in, and I'm jamming along with the cymbals, and they're in 6. But then I listen to the bass kicks, and they're in 4, where the cymbals and the guitar are doing triplets rather than what would be just eighth notes in the 6/8. And so, throughout most of the song, I'm trying to feel it out. Are we in 6? Are we in 4? And how often do we get this overlap where it can easily be either one of them? And interestingly, the song does sort of divide itself fairly cleanly most times. The chorus is best felt in 4. The verses are best felt in 6. The guitar solo and the clean bridge were in 4. The breakdown was in 4. So there were a lot of moments where, we have a very clear delineation, especially if we listen to the drums, of what time signature we're in. But that opening section, and I think it was the final chorus, so basically the beginning and the end, felt like it could be either or. And I think that's really interesting that they sort of have this ambiguity throughout, because even when I say, this section, at least to me, clearly feels like it's in 4, clearly feels like it's in 6, that doesn't necessarily mean it is in 4 or 6. It just means whatever landmarks I'm looking for that I give the most weight to personally in my own, listening, that's what I'm hearing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that any of these sections are strictly in 4 or 6. They just seem to be the more predominant pulse for the segment. Um, so overall, though, there is this ambiguity, but at least to me, I perceive this fluctuation. And I think that's a really interesting concept to work around with, especially for such a small band. Not a small, an up and coming band. I think it's a bit lofty to go for that, and I think it works very well here. There's always a constant flow. Having that 4, whether it's the dominant or the secondary aspect, is going to give each section this backbeat that you can nod your head to, that you can jam along with. Whereas the 6, if you want to feel it, gives it a little bit more of a funkier, groovier idea. But if you can't feel it or don't want to feel that 6, the 4 is usually somewhere in there, not necessarily hidden, just not in the spotlight like the 6 would be. And I think most people would be able to find it and jam with it, even if they don't know that that's specifically what they're doing. So yeah, I think they did a phenomenal job at incorporating that idea in here. And I'm kind of wondering, the song's called Nightmare. I'm kind of wondering if there is this element of um, reality in the dream world, and one time signature represents one or another. I don't know. Looking at the lyrics here, though, and maybe it doesn't really seem to allude to a dream state of a nightmare, more of a living nightmare where life is misery or difficult. In that sense, it could seem almost like you're living in a dream state despite it being reality. But I feel like I might just be reading into it at that point, and I'm gonna guess that there's a possibility that the song lyrically probably reads on a surface level rather than something metaphorical like that that's going to tie into the time signature. However, I could be completely wrong, and these guys are creating music on a level above what I'm kind of getting from the lyrics here. In which case, fantastic. If it is more of a surface level read and I'm just reading into the time signature thing, that's fine too. I think the song works just fine on that base level without digging any deeper as well. So yeah, fantastic track here. Really great foundational work for these guys to expand on. I mean, I go over and look at their page, and they only have 11 videos. This was the first one they released. They have 3 more music videos after this, possibly. And then, oh, snap! And then there's 7 audio streams. No music video to them, just the music. But one of them says featuring Mystic or Mystique. I don't know how to pronounce that actually. Um, but yeah, I follow her on YouTube. She's pretty cool. She takes heavy music and then adds like synthesizers and choirs behind it, give it this big production kind of feel. Very cool stuff. She also used to do fantastic piano covers of metal tracks too, but I don't think she does those as often anymore. But yeah, featuring her, that's awesome. I did not expect to see that here. Very cool stuff. But yeah, it looks like possibly a full album's worth of music here. But yeah, this would be a debut album, it's looking like. And like I said, that's a fantastic foundation to expand upon and to mature upon and to continue to improve their craft. I really couldn't, if I were starting a band, I couldn't hope for a better foundation than this, really. It's good stuff. This is where you guys come in. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed this track or not. If there's anything that stood out to you, or if you agree with me or disagree or on any of this, go ahead and hit me up. Let me know what's going on in your minds. How you came how you came to view this track. In the description box above the comments, there's a link for Linktree, which takes you to this joint right here. You couldn't see it because it was hidden. There's all sorts of stuff in here. Twitter, Patreon, Discord. You can pick up some merch. You can see what I've been working on, see what I've been listening to. There's just a lot of links in there. Go ahead and check it out. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. They help out with the YouTube algorithm. That wraps it up for this week. There's going to be a live stream, a block live stream video with an Odyssey link in it coming out tomorrow, I believe. Sunday at 11 a.m. is the Patreon live stream for this week. And otherwise, if neither of those interest you, or if you're part of the Patreon to watch the live stream, which y'all really should, if you're interested, it is a jam. We just kind of chill. If you've watched the live streams, it's exactly what that is. We have like 9 or 10 songs filled out, and we listen to them together and talk about them, crack some jokes, and yeah, like 2 hours of just chilling, listening to some cool music. And that's only $5 a month. Like, it really isn't a terrible price. Other channels put stuff like that a lot higher. But I try to make the community as involved as I can. So if that sounds interesting to you, there's also a link to Patreon in the Linktree link that I put. But again, if if none of the weekend stuff interests you or whatever, Monday I'll be back 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC as usual. We'll be doing Groove Week, songs with fantastic grooves. So I'm excited about that. As a bass player, I'm not a fantastic bass player, but it is my favorite stringed instrument. I own one. I play it every now and then. I'm looking forward to that because bass is that is the groove instrument. Bass and drums and piano, like that's where your groove's gonna come from. Although that might be a bit biased. That's where the groove's gonna come from in jazz. Bass and drum, I guess, could also just be like, you don't need the piano. Whatever, though. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be doing special selections as well, as we always do on Monday. All right. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.